Hello everyone, and welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Tiemann. This is the award-winning Fan Show. And this, right now, bittersweet, because we have, for the last time for this particular series anyway, I'm sure he'll be back to talk more football and nonsense like we do here on the Fan Show, but as part of our College Gridiron Showcase series specials that we were doing, they were weekly, then we had the event, but now we needed to sort of conclude, have some closure, wrap up, and recap. So Jose Jefferson is back once again to look back at the 2019 College Gridiron Showcase. We had a great conversation. I can't say enough how great of a time the missus and I had down there. We really do feel that we are officially part of the CGS family, having only done it one time, but we were embraced, welcomed with open arms, and I know that I do a shout out to him a little later on in our conversation, but real quick, first and foremost, big shout out goes to all the people that it took to make this thing happen, the unsung heroes, Carla, Heather, Hannah, Jeff Ember, Mike, we got coaches, Tom, T-Baby, David Kiselek, not Mike Kiselek, just David, not Mike, which I'm sure if he hears this, he'll be like, what? Dean, you guys were just so awesome. Robin, and then of course Craig Red, and the man himself, Jose. But everybody down there at this event, it is a well-oiled machine. I will say that. Whether you're a player, whether you're a scout, whether you're a coach or media, it is as advertised, which he doesn't. He sells himself short. I swear he does. Jose is a very modest and humble individual, but we love him no less for it. I feel like he could probably, puff the chest out just a wee bit more. Doesn't need to pound on the chest quite yet, but he could puff it out a little bit, just, stick it out there. Anyway, so he wanted to do kind of an exit interview style thing. We asked the tough questions, but overall, it was great feedback, and that's what he appreciates most is feedback from something like College Gridiron Showcase. The scouts had a great time. Coaches that were the special guests there had a great time. Players had a great time. I had a fantastic time. You guys can see all the one-on-one player spotlight interviews that I conducted while I was down there. Those are available on the YouTube channel as well as the Fan Show Facebook page. There are links to both on the Fan Show's Twitter. In fact, I made sure to go through and retweet a new player spotlight for every individual player that we did, and the links to the Facebook video as well as the YouTube channel. When the website gets relaunched later this week, you'll be able to find them there as well. But for right now, you guys can go check those out. Also, if you wanted to hear from a group of players and maybe not go through each one individually, one by one, which I think is like 21 interviews individually. We did do Player Spotlight Collection podcasts. So there's 5 parts to those. I know it's still quite a few, but you can hear they go in chronological order. So the order that they were done in starts out with the first day, which I got uploaded I think while I was down there, but then the rest I didn't have a chance to. The internet connection at the hotel was dreadfully slow. So we had to do a bulk of our work when we finally got back here at the home base. But nonetheless, it turned out fantastic. I was very happy with the finished product as far as the one-on-one player spotlight interviews went. It's the first time that we've done audio video like that. Normally it's just podcast form, but I wanted to do video and do it in a way where you had great audio. So we recorded video and audio simultaneously, but on separate avenues. So we recorded the audio like I would for a podcast and the video with our camera setup, and then I took the two, put them into iMovie, and then coordinated where the audio would begin in the video and synced them up. And yeah, they looked and sounded great. So thank all of you that made this happen. You guys are fantastic. So here we are, one last time in regards to CGS. Jose Jefferson of the College Gridiron Showcase. All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me now, almost 2 full weeks after the fact, is the man behind College Gridiron Showcase, and it was year 5. And Jose, I got to tell you, I was extremely impressed by everything that went down in Fort Worth. But of course, you are your own critic, so having time to sort of digest, reflect, and ponder, and then of course maybe a sneak peek into what you might do differently next year. How do you feel about year 5 of CGS?
I'm very happy. I really feel that we got over the hump that we wanted to in a lot of areas. I mean, I am a perfectionist in terms of wanting everything to go off without a hitch. So we're going to continue to strive for that. But I'm not going to dampen the fact that we had the most athletes, most players ever. We had the most scouts ever in our existence. We had a great few days. It was amazing. I mean, the hotel was great. The convention center was great. The field was great. We found a great combination with the city of Fort Worth, and it just gets better from here.
Yeah, I think, speaking from my experience being down there, I thought everything went very well. The combination of the hotel and the convention center and just all that went on in the convention center, I thought that was a very nice setup, being able to just sleep in one place, cross the street for the other. If players needed to get changed for interviews or freshen up, they could conveniently. The field was great. I thought the stadium was a great place with stands on both sides for scouts to sit and observe. The only thing was just the transportation, which I know was something that everybody had talked about. But if you take that away, everything else I feel just went really smoothly. So from my perspective, it was a job well done for year 5.
Yeah, I mean, and those are, like I said, transportation was one challenge that will correct for next year. I mean, when you are new to a place, you can have as many meetings as you want, which we did over logistics, but it's not the same as being there, mm-hmm. And when you're actually experiencing it. Now we know how far the field is. Now we know how far Billy Bob's is. Now we know, maybe another bus is in order. And so if that's the case, then those are fixable problems. It's the problems that you can't fix that was the reason why we moved from Addison. There's the field we couldn't fix last year at Addison. I mean, the hotel was great, but the field was not. We can't fix that problem, so we have to change it. And there's a lot of simple fixes. And I'm always going to continue to push to be better. But I'm not going to dampen the fact that it was a great event. I had a great time. I mean, I could have went a couple more days. And by saying that means that it wasn't growing on me. It wasn't hindering me. I didn't feel like I was unappreciated or it was a thankless thing. It was awesome. It was a really good deal.
Yeah. I like I said, the only feedback that wouldn't be, I guess, positive, but I guess constructive feedback was the transportation, and even like anything else was really minor and almost like, if you're going to nitpick, this is how you nitpick. But for you, the big question now is, of course, this is almost like a 365 for you. You're already thinking about next year. And of course, me being there, everywhere I go, ideas start popping off in my head about what could be done. Have you thought of this? What do you think about that? But, when you and I talked, you said that, you didn't want bigger schools necessarily to be involved in something like this, like LSU or Alabama or even Clemson, that this is for the kids that are looking to get kind of another opportunity or a second chance to impress scouts that feel, overlooked or underrated. And so with that, you're a guy that wants to constantly innovate and improve. So how do you plateau, so to speak, but yet continue to keep it fresh and progressive year in and year out?
Well, to preface, your earlier statement, it's not that we don't want those schools in they're just easier to get. I mean, obviously, if Bama's in a playoff, we're not going to get them. The LSU kids, I mean, those teams play on national TV every week. And so they're going to get the exposures. Those teams have excellent pro days. Okay, LSU is located very close to the Saints. So they're going to get those scouts. They're going to get those executives. I welcome the big schools, but I also welcome the kids that don't get that exposure, and that's why we want to pull them out. We're more of a hidden gem event than anything else. But in terms of how we get bigger and better, because it's consistency. I mean, that's one thing with CGS that has been constant has been change. We went from Arlington to Bedford to Addison now to Fort Worth. We need consistency. We went from one team to two teams to the free agent event to 4 teams to 5. And now, we're going to, kind of change a little bit of that around. So I think consistency is going to, like you said, in terms of that's the only thing I want to plateau on is being consistent. We service scouts. We service agents. We service players. We service the city. That part I want consistent. The part that needs to plateau is maybe more players. I thought our group stood toe to toe with the Shrine and the NFLPA game. In fact, the Senior Bowl had called us on a couple of players to be fillers for their roster. So we are going in the right direction that way. So like I said, we just need to be consistent with what we're doing because our feedback is good. Everybody likes what we do. So, that's the only part I want to plateau is just being consistent. But we will continue to grow, and this event will get bigger because the city will take some control in terms of what they're going to do for us. The hotel will give us certain concessions because of what we brought in. And like I said, it's only going to get better.
Yeah, and there were quarterbacks there, one that was fairly well known from Iowa, and that could be just because I know a lot of people from the area, but there was a lot of wide receivers, there was some running backs, but for me the biggest takeaway, granted being my first time at this event, was that the defense really stood out, and it wasn't necessarily just an individual player. Like, yes, we did have an outstanding offensive and defensive player of the showcase, but the defense to me really stepped up, and I don't know if that's a trend with CGS, if that's a simple fact that they lack the spotlight because they're defense, or if it's just that defensive mindset that feels like you need to go and take every opportunity you can get. Was there anything, a player or position that caught your eye during our time down in Fort Worth?
Well, we've always been very good with the line. And what I mean by that is, perfect example, one of our defensive linemen from last year will be in the Super Bowl this year with the Rams. Mm-hmm. And so we've always been very solid with the line. Also, defense is always going to gel quicker anyway because they don't have to deal with the ball. They have to. Well, that's just football. They don't have to deal with the ball. They have to deal with space. They have to deal with sets. They have to deal with zones and responsibilities, but they don't have to deal with the ball. So it's going to look very lopsided for a little bit once the offense starts to gel. But like I said, I thought there was a standout at just about every position on the field, which to me is more important than the sides of the ball. Because, yes, the defense did well, but there's guys that really didn't do much on defense because they were the beneficiary of guys that were playing better in certain spots. So, no, I like I said, I'm more based on individuals and their efforts. And like I said, I can go down the list and name, players from every side of the ball or both sides of the ball in every position that did well.
Now, I don't know if this was the first time that you had scouts from all 32 teams, but I know that you were talking about the Giants. Obviously, they played a big part. They provided some of the balls, and they were sending, I think, eight or nine scouts this year, which was double from what they sent last year. I caught up with one of the area scouts from the 49ers who mentioned Matt Breida and that they were excited to be there. What was the feedback that you got from the scouts that had not attended CGS before, or maybe their team had not been represented at all?
Like I said, we've had every 28 to 30 teams every year. It's and the same the feedback is the same. They love it. They love the access. They love the fact that they get to the kids. They love the fact that they get their job done. They love the fact that, we're short and quick. We give them what they want, that they can go to practice and ask us for anything and it gets done. We're definitely scout friendly, and they enjoy that, which is why they continue to grow and why we take their input. The Marshals group, our small college group, was spawned off a scout saying it'd be great if you had more players. And so we did. And so we'll continue to do that and make it a scouts event to not so much design, but to have an open forum to say, hey, we want this, and go from there. So it's been great feedback, and they come because they get the information. They come because we bring the players, and they come because they have no hassles, and which is definitely a lot better from the feedback that I've received from other events.
Which is fantastic. You want to, I always love feedback. Feedback, I think, is how you can grow the most. So does it look like Fort Worth will be the destination next year? Like, did everything go as you wanted it to sort of what you would get from your ideal venue?
Well, I mean, we agreed to be there 2 years, and that was year one. I think they were overwhelmed with, I'm serious. I think they were overwhelmed with how things went. Per one of the hotel staff, is that they grossly underestimated what we were saying. And I told them, CGS is something you have to experience before you can truly get it. And I think that was your case as well too. We've done these podcasts. We've talked about it. You go on the website, and that's how come I've had different people, on the show, because I wanted their perspective. I didn't want people to continue to hear me talk about the event, and not so much to say how great it was, but I'm just getting it from one view, and I wanted it from different views. And now, since you've been there, you understand now what it's all about, and it's organized chaos. It's a big little event. I mean, every oxymoron that you can come up with, it is, because it's like, wow. I mean, it's unbelievable sometimes, but it's very believable at other times. Like, oh, this is simple, but yet it's complex. Holy cow, how do you do this? Oh, I see how you do this. And so, like I said, I think Fort Worth was very overwhelmed with what we brought to them, and now their wheels are turning, because not only are they seeing revenue, they're seeing growth. And there's a difference. I mean, you can see revenue, but you may not see growth. Yeah. So they're excited for the fact that we want to be there, and they're definitely trying to do the right things to keep us there. So I am very encouraged by that I will say.
And I will say, that of everything, the three aspects, I guess, if you would refer to it like that, the player interviews with the scouts, the actual showcase on the field, and then the seminars in the morning, I mean, it kind of seems like it's in the name, the showcase, that would be where the spotlight is, the most important part of the event. But the majority of the kids that I talked to, they all had something to say about those seminars, whether it was Stacy Elliott, Rod Newhouse's financial advice, or just, any number of do's and don'ts and things in the world of the draft and scouting. So is that something that you very much feel that is needed at an event like this, or has it been something that has sort of been kind of that, I guess, pleasant surprise for you after the fact?
No, we planned on this from day one. We planned on doing something like this from the very beginning, because it's one thing just to go and show off your skills and to let everybody know you're a football player, but it's another thing to come away with the things that you don't know. I mean, that's always been my classic statement. We don't know what we don't know. And we wanted to educate these players because it's a process. I mean, and the process is always ongoing, from the moment they step to CGS, from the moment of the draft to the moment that they go to a camp, to the moment that the season starts. I mean, just because you don't get drafted doesn't mean it's over, or just because you get drafted doesn't mean you made it. So, I mean, there's several paradigms to look at and tell the kids that, if this doesn't happen, then this may happen. If this does happen, then this may happen. And kids don't think like that. They think this whole process is cookie cutter, and it isn't. There's no exact science to the draft with teams picking players. There's no exact science with how your career is going to go. And there's no exact science with who's making these decisions. So the more we can inform them about that process, the better. Also, to generate revenue, to help, for lack of better terms, keep the lights on with CGS, you've got to find like companies that not only need consumers, they need athletic consumers. They need people who can generate revenue for them in other ways as well too, which is the financial advising comes into play, which products that, I mean, obviously, at my age, I'm not really using braces for things anymore. I don't need them. I'm not needing to make the team. But when you got a company like Arise that makes braces for these guys, that might help. Instead of doing taping, that's, a revenue generator for, that's a consumer that they're going to use, or KT tape, to where, I would use KT tape casually, but these guys would probably use it every day, so you bring those people around and they inform you about their product. Now you've given these kids an idea that you're not only a player. It's like Jay-Z said, you're a business man, not just a businessman, you're a business man. And that's what they are. They are their own entity. And that's what we try to make them recognize, is that they're in control. And not an agent, not a lawyer, not anybody else. They are in control of their own decisions.
Yeah, and there was a lot of high praise about the partners and the sponsors there, KT Tape and Arise and others. But thing I'll end on with for this is with this, and that is that I know just as much as you do and the next guy that you're only as good as the people that you surround yourself with. And for my first time at CGS and being there, I was very much impressed by the event, but your staff is top notch, and I know that their job is not easy, but everybody from Carla, Hannah, Jeff Ember, Robin, Heather, Craig especially. I mean, that man was hardly ever out on the field, but it's because he's got his own job to do back at the convention center. But the hospitality from them was top notch and very welcoming. So for me, I love the event. I know that we had a great time down there, but everything that CGS is and does, starting with, the venue all the way down to your staff that you've got there. I know this was probably one of the best years that you've had, and it really showed.
It does. I mean, and enough credit can't go to all those people. I mean, Craig and I started this thing, in an airport in Hoover, Alabama, or actually Birmingham, Alabama, 6 years ago, not knowing we would be to this today. I think Kyle and Hannah are a huge backbone to what we do on the administrative side. They do a lot of things that Craig and I not only can't do, but don't want to do. And they're very good at it. I think Carla is very good in terms of kind of seeing some things that we don't, in terms of Craig and I get so busy and wrapped up into things that she kind of is basically our eyes and ears when we're not looking or seeing things. Heather runs the field with Michael, and they do a great job there. They make my job so much easier because I get pulled in 20 different directions when I'm in the field. Our coaching staff is amazing. And I say that not not lightly, because it's a tough job. It's probably the toughest coaching job they have, because they are dealing with kids that for 4 years have been coached by some pretty decent, very good coaches, and they're not there to change them as much as just to get them through some drills, put them in the best light. And it's hard to not want to coach these guys in a certain way, but they do a great job of understanding what we're trying to get out of it. And I wish I had bigger jobs for all those guys, because they have great knowledge. Our film crew, Jefferson and Brandon, they do a great job with capturing the moments and making tapes for people. Robin, who was new with us this year, and Christina, who's not really new, but she was, kind of getting her feet wet last year. They're great in support and do basically whatever we ask them to do. And you're right. All these people do this because they see the same thing Craig and I do. They have a vision, and we pretty much delegate to them as much as we can, because it doesn't work unless you feel you got your fingerprint on something, or you can put your stamp on something that this is yours. And so we delegate a lot. And am I always going to overlook it or overlook them or overlook what's going on? Of course, because, at the end of the day, my name's on it, Craig's name's on it, but I trust them enough to know that they're going to do the very absolute best job that they can, and for the event, and then for these kids. I mean, I think all of them are football nuts. It's amazing to see the reactions on our phone calls or texts, because when the playoffs started, Heather's a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so she was kind of poopy. And then Craig's a Cowboys fan, so then he was kind of poopy. And then just this last week, Neil Stratton was not very happy as a New Orleans Saints fan. So I mean, it is so great to have passionate people about football, and knowledgeable people, not just rabid fans. I mean, not just the people that yell at the TV screen, people who actually know football. I mean, and they don't have to know the intricacies of what a cover 2 is or what a RPO is. They don't need to know that. They just need to understand how things work around football, and that's what they do. They understand how the teams work. They understand the needs for the players, and it's great to be surrounded by people who have the same passions as you do. So you're right. I'm very blessed in the fact that there's a whole group of people out there that make up CGS, and not just Craig and myself. I mean, we have a wonderful board as well too, with Neil Stratton being on that, Rod Newhouse, Mike McCabe, and Don Povia, and Heather Chamberlain being on our board, and all of them have great experience, and I really don't do too much, or Craig as well, without running stuff by them. So it's a great brain trust. We got great workers. I wish I can do more for them. That's my only reservation. I wish I could do more for them.
Well, I think it's a mutual respect, because they wouldn't be there if they didn't want to be, and if they didn't believe in what you're doing. But I think, from a first-timer's perspective, everything that I saw, everybody wanted to be there. Everybody had their job, and they enjoyed their job. And I know that, these people are passionate about the sport and believe in what you're doing. And I know that you didn't have to make a believer out of me, but I'll go ahead and say that you have made a believer out of me. I loved every minute of being down there. So I know that it's back to the daily grind for you, but of course, it's also kind of a break. But I look forward to seeing what CGS has in store for next year, and I hope that you guys will have us back.
Yes, without a doubt. That's one of the first orders of business, is to get the fan show back, and probably start on some stuff a little bit earlier and go from there. But as you said, I mean, I'm on my day grind right now. I work for a university and graduate admissions, so that's kind of brings me back down to reality. I also coach track and field here, the jumpers and the short sprinters. And then I am also on the staff of the Sioux Falls Storm, doing personnel, and basically part of the brain trust with Curtis Riggs, which I will say he is really good to work with. I mean, I'm not going to say he's like the Bill Belichick of indoor football, but I tell you one thing, that guy's pretty smart. He's pretty grounded, good person, and I'm honestly, I couldn't be more thrilled and excited. I haven't been this excited about working in indoor football in a very long time.
Well, that's good.
And I've had head jobs here in the last couple of years, and it's a different feel. So it's hard to get out of it. But yeah, I still keep cranking, and he's a fan of CGS as well, and he's offered some good input and a different paradigm for me. So I'll continue to grind. I'll make my trek down to Fort Worth and here in about another month or two, and see how much more we can get from them and what more we can do for the city.
All right. Well, we'll be in touch, of course, obviously. So enjoy your time back to the grind, and then, of course, the Super Bowl and everything else. Take the time to unwind and just enjoy. But, Jose, it was a pleasure, and I really like what you got going on down there in CGS.
I appreciate it. We'll have you back, and we'll talk more.
All right. You take care of yourself.
You too. Thank you.
Bye. And one more big thank you to Jose Jefferson and the people at CGS. Such an honor and a privilege to be a part of something that really is something spectacular. If you're ever in the area that they have CGS, it's a 4-day event, 4 or 5 day, depending on if they do the free agent one again. But you really just need to come and check it out. See for yourself what we're talking about. To see all the scouts lined up on the sideline on both sides of the field, taking notes, talking to players, and just the amount of energy that these guys put out there on the field every day. It was something special. So thank you very much, Jose, for including me. And that is going to do it for the CGS specials that we were doing here as part of our contract with the College Gridiron Showcase. And now it is onward and upward. For 2019, had a music special that we put up yesterday, first one of the new calendar year with Real Big Fish. What better way to start off a division special than with a music one at that, and with the return of the guys of Real Big Fish. So this week, we will start having all new episodes of your favorite show made for the fans by a fan. That's right. All new episodes of The Fan Show. Everyone's a fan of something, and we've got something for every fan. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you on The Fan Show.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love The Fan Show.